We're live. Awesome. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Real Talk with Amoi. Today I'll be chatting with the Budgetnista herself, Tiffany Aliche, about her journey into entrepreneurship and how she has managed to make a living doing something she had already been doing. And also she'll share with us some tips for the young adult and some college students for getting our finances in order.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Amoi.
Hey, Tiffany.
Thanks for having me. My name is Tiffany, but I'm better known as the Budgetnista. That's the name of my company. Put your bees up. I'm like, put the bees up. And I teach what I like to call fun financial literacy, and that's what I do for a living. I teach, I write, I speak, and it's been really like a fun and crazy ride. I kind of fell into this business, and it's all I do full time now.
Can you tell us more about your journey and how you became the Budgetnista?
I think, honestly, I grew up in a household. My father was a CFO, and he was an accountant. So I grew up in a household where money was always talked about. I can remember asking for ices, and he would say, well, you left the water running. That was $5 worth of ices. No icy for you. And I'm like, what? I'm only 4. And so, like, money was just a typical everyday conversation in my house. And I thought that everyone had that kind of conversation until I went to college. And I realized none of my friends knew how to manage their money. And I began showing them. And it was just something, you know how some people come to people for, like, relationship advice. Some people are really good cooks. Everyone has their thing. For me, it was always financial advice. And after college, I went to school for business, but I hated all my internships. So I was like, yeah, I'm kind of too bubbly and fun to work in corporate America. And I decided to be a preschool teacher. And I loved it. And I did it for about 10 years. And during that time, I began teaching my parents at the center about money, and my coworkers and more friends, and just always teaching about money, but not thinking anything of it. And then in 2009, in the height of the recession, my school closed, and I realized, okay, I have a choice here. I kind of was realizing it was time for me to move on from teaching preschool, but I didn't know what else to do. And I took 2 years off. I had like 2 years worth of savings. So I took 2 years off and lived off my savings and unemployment and traveled the world and volunteered. And I found myself, I went to like 9 different countries. I had such a ball. At the end of 2 years, though, I was dead broke. And I was like, I don't know what to do. So I said, you know what, the best way to figure out what you like, Tiffany, is just volunteer and see. So I began volunteering, doing event planning for organizations, and I found myself, I kept finding these nonprofits that needed someone to write curriculum and stuff for them. And I had went to school. I had got my master's in that. So I began writing curriculum and lesson plans for nonprofits, and financial education kept coming up. So I began doing that over and over until one day someone said, that girl Tiffany that you have come out and teach for us, how much does she cost? And I'm like, I'm free, you know? And it kept happening over and over, because I would do what happened to it. I would like take pictures of myself speaking and teaching and saying, had a good time today, speaking at the Y or whatever. And then somebody on Facebook would hit me up and say, how much do you cost? Can you do that for me? And I'd be like, I'm free, you know? And then my best friend was like, stop being free. And I thought, can I do that? Are you allowed to charge people? And I'm like, okay, $50, and then $100, and then $200, and then $1,500, and $2,000, where I am now. And that was really like 3 or 4 years ago. And so I just kind of tumbled into it.
Okay, so we're going to get into the 1 week budget. This is Tiffany's book.
The book was a blessing, too. It happened like the business. So as I was helping those parents when I was teaching, one parent, one of the maintenance guys was having a baby. And he was like, I've never budgeted before. He was 26. And I said, okay, we couldn't meet up. So I'm like, I told him I'd write the tips down for him in a notebook. So I would write the tips and give it to him. He would bring them back, like the homework. And so it went back and forth like that until I realized, like, oh, okay, this is a cute little notebook. And so I began passing it around to my friends who asked for help. Like, well, here, I already wrote them down. And then when I lost my job, I said, you know, I don't have anything else to do. Maybe I should turn that book into a book. So I started really working on it. So 2 years later, I self-published that book. And, you know, at first nobody cared. I mean, when it launched, I think I sold like 3 books a month. And I was like, yes, 3 books this month. And then I started realizing, you know, if this Budgetnista thing is going to be a business, you should really try to figure out how do you market. So literally I Googled how to market a book. And I did everything. I watched YouTube videos. I read everything. I took notes, and I started practicing marketing. And then from there, the book went from 3 books a month to 10 to 50 to 100 to 800 books in a month. And so on average, I sell anywhere from 500 to 700 books a month now. This is 3 years later.
So by the time I was done, I was like, oh my gosh, I wish I had this going in college. Like, I made my worst financial decisions in college, and maybe the first 2 years right after.
Most people who are like grown, like 30, 40 plus, they can trace their financial hardship back to college. That's why I speak at so many colleges, because if I can catch you in college and really get you on track, you will be fine, literally for the rest of your life.
So do you have any, like, I guess, some major tips for young adults and college students that you would like to share?
Sure. So I'll give you I have this tip sheet called my top 10 tips, but I'll give you the 3 most important.
Okay.
Tip number 1 is to open up a bills account. So that is hopefully a free checking account. If your bank doesn't offer free checking, switch banks or try a credit union. They often have free checking accounts. So you want to have an account separate just for your bills. Because like you said, Amoi, that all of your stuff was in one place. That's why it was so easy to spend. But if you get paid and you separate your bill money, then you get to see what you really have left over. So you need to separate to see. So if you get paid $1,000 a month and your bills cost you $500, put $500 a month in your bills account, and then you have that bills account automatically pay your bills. So you don't have to worry about it. I haven't paid a bill since I was 26, because all I do is deposit the money in my bills account, and it's already set up. 2, you want to give yourself an allowance, a cash allowance. So what that looks like is this. So you do your budget, which is just you list everything you spend money on. Then you put the monthly amount of everything you spend money on, and put a C next to everything that's a cash expenditure. So that's groceries, grooming, you know, like non-bill things, you know. So you put a C next to all those things, add up all the C's. So let's just say all your C's, grocery, grooming, everything is $400 a month. So you know that's how much your cash expenditures, like your debit card swipes, are a month, $400. So you divide $400 into 4 weeks in a month, and that's how much you give yourself a week. So $100 a week. Take your money on Sunday, on Monday, in cash. So that way when the money is done, so are you. It will stop you from overspending, you know, because when you have cash in your hand and you're like, okay, I have $5. Spend this, whoa, 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 whoa. Right. I'm really running low. But if you use your credit card, swipe, 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 you can't feel it. And so giving yourself a cash allowance like that will help you tremendously lower how much you spend every month. So that's number 2. Number 1, bills account. Number 2, cash allowance. Another way to do a cash allowance is if you know you're going to Target, and we know how Target is, you're not spending $20. It's Target. They make that place beautiful, smell good. You're like in Target just buying stuff because you feel good. They're good at that. I'm like, well played, Target, well played. So I would like to do is bring an allowance with you into Target. If you know that you only want to spend $40, go to the bank, ATM, take $40 in cash. Leave your debit and credit card home, because now you're at Target and you see a dress that's for $30, but you know you came to get toilet tissue. Now you have some decisions to make. Toilet tissue, dress, but I still need cleaning supplies. So now you have to work within $40. But if you would have bought your debit card, you would have swiped and bought it anyway. So, like, you know, force yourself with cash when you go shopping, like food shopping or clothes shopping. Only bring the money that you need and leave everything at home. Mm-hmm. The last tip is to automate, automate, automate. Automation is the new discipline. Automate your bills, automate your savings, automate retirement. So the way you automate from the beginning is before you get paid, your HR department should be taking out retirement money, minimum 10% of your income. So if you make $2,000 a month, you really want to put $200 a month away for retirement. If you think that's too much, start something low. Tell them take 1%. Then 6 months, tell them take 2%. Then 6 months, say I'm ready for 3, and you keep inching up until you get to your full 10% at least. If you want to be able to not eat cat food when you're older, you know, for dinner. So you want to be doing at least 10%.
Right.
So that's one automation. Then you get your paycheck, have them direct deposit if that's available. That's automation number 2. Then you want to have your money separate. You want to have your bill money separate automatically, your emergency savings separate automatically. Maybe you have travel money separate. All that stuff should automatically separate. And the only thing left on your itty-bitty debit card is your cash allowance, right? So that way when you go spending, you're like, well, you know, it's not like you have this pot of gold now. You're like, well, it's more like a pot of pennies, but at least I know what I can spend, you know? So maybe there's $40 left over, and you're like, but at least I know bills paid, travel account paid, emergency paid. What's left on my debit card is what I'm allowed to spend. You can throw that money up in the air like you just don't care. Everything else is taken care of. So that way you don't have to fuss over your money if you automate like that. So it's just like a symphony. Money lands, it separates, and leaves you with what you're allowed to spend. So bills account, cash allowance, automation. Those are the top 3 things that will change your life. I started the Budgetnista to be helpful. So I give day 1 of my book away for free. If you go online, if you go to thebudgetnista.com, you'll see a picture of me holding the book. Click on the book, and you'll be able to get day 1 for free. And that's like the basic budget. It'll get you up and running. So no excuses. It's free, free, free.
Right.
You get started today.
Right. See, the rest of the book really helps you to really get into it and breaks it down. But you can use those tips from day 1 to kind of, you know.
Exactly. Get you started with your budget.
Sounds cool. So it's definitely worth its weight in gold, because the amount of money that you'll end up saving yourself will more than pay for this book. That's for sure. Oh my gosh. Well, is there anything else you want to share? Those are all my questions.
No, I just want to say that, like, you know, the life that you've been dreaming of really is yours to have. And the only thing standing in the way of that is you. So you have to ask yourself, what are you willing to do in order to live the life you want? Most people kind of live, like right here, this just basic level. They feel like life is happening to them. Yeah. And then there are those who kind of like break through and realize, oh, wait, I am making life happen to me.
Right.
Once you start to realize that you're like, you know, the designer of your life, and you start picking up the paintbrush and painting it the way you want, you realize you can get to higher and higher levels. Like, it's amazing up here. You know, I'm not quite here, but it's amazing here, mid-level. I'm like, wow, this stroke makes it go this way, and this stroke makes it go this way. And I remember the first time, like, when I was on my sister's couch, and she told me I had to get out. I wrote a check for myself for $10,000, and I told myself, one day I'm going to make $10,000 in 1 month, which is like saying I'm going to make a bajillion. What does that even mean? You're broke. So I wrote that check, put it on my vision board, because I believe in having vision boards. And within 1 year of writing that check, I had made $10,000 in 1 month. And it blew my mind. I was like, what? I was making $150 like a speaking engagement sleeping on the couch a minute ago. And I erased the check and wrote 20. I was like, yeah, right. That's not going to happen, but you never know. And this month, April, I will have made over $20,000 in 1 month. And so, you know, I erased it. I was like, 40. But all of this from just silly little Tiffany, who's like, hey, budget your money. So if I can do it, if I can do it with no extraordinary talents, you know, with no, like, if I can do it, you can do it. Whatever your dream is, what are you waiting for? Like, you only get one crack at this life. And I'm like, man, I want to have a rock and roll time. And you can too. My tagline is live richer. Purposefully and passionately pursue your ideal life. So that's what I want to leave you with. Live richer, and come visit me at thebudgetnista.com and learn how to live richer with me.
Well, I want to thank you again for chatting with us on Real Talk with Amoi. Thank you guys for tuning in. This hangout will be on YouTube. I will share all the links, and also Tiffany's information, the Budgetnista, so you can follow her, ask her your financial questions, and even get a copy of her book.